everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Tire Talk with Atturo Tire. I'm your host, Colin, here with my co-host every week, as always, Mr. Joe Gomez. And this week we are joined by Abe from Design Infini, who is the parent company of, let me hope I can get these all right, Gear Off-Road, Centerline, Motiv Off-Road, Fittipaldi Off-Road, Fittipaldi Wheels, and Keen I think that's
right.
everything. I have good notes, so... So Abe, why don't you take a second to introduce yourself, let the people know what you're all about, and give a little rundown.
Thanks for the intro. My name is Abe Choe. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager at Design Infini. Just like all the brands that you listed, we're the parent company for that. But one of our fortes is actually private labeling wheels for a lot of the notable companies out there. So we're basically a one-stop shop. Anywhere from design, engineering, manufacturing to branding. We even get your UPC labels. And we create and design a lot of wheels for a lot of brands out there that I can't actually mention, hence private label, right?
Yeah.
But that's what we do. And we're out of Corona, California.
Corona, California. That's some
Yeah.
good time. Are they going to rename the town? I've wondered that for a while, how many things are going to get, if Corona beer is going to make their way out of this. That's a good marketing case study if they're going to survive this whole thing.
I actually used to drink Corona beer too, and you know what? It's a psychological thing. I don't think I've had a Corona beer since
because
maybe there is something to that. I don't
the
know.
marketing, man, subconscious.
I mean, I see there's pictures posted online. I personally haven't seen this, but I've seen pictures posted online of people in the grocery store, and all the other beers gone except the Corona. I mean, I don't know if that's staged or something, but I mean, I haven't seen that, so I can't confirm that it actually is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I still drink Coronas. That doesn't bother me, but I wonder if they're going to be able to survive this, if they're going to have to do some creative marketing to make their way out.
I know. We'll see.
Well, they'll be trending.
Yeah, so Abe, do you want to talk a little bit about, for everybody, what kind of got you into the aftermarket industry and specifically wheels? Just a little bit maybe of backstory.
Yeah. So before I was actually running my own startup in the state of Oregon, called U Life, and I went, go Ducks. I'm a University of Oregon grad.
Nice.
And I did that for a few years. Long story short, kind of got screwed. And then, but during that time, Sonny Chung was trying to recruit me down, saying, "Hey, let's do the wheels thing. Let's do the wheel thing." But at that time, I had the entrepreneur blood, so I wanted to, I was being stubborn. But when the opportunity arose, I came down at that time with my girlfriend, who's my wife now, and then I've actually I came into sales and kind of worked my way up. And I've actually never looked back. So that's how I kind of got into the wheel game. I'll be honest. I've always liked cars, but back in Oregon, I wouldn't know what the difference between a negative 44 offset, between a high positive offset, right? I mean, I knew cars. I knew I liked wheels and stuff like that, but I didn't know the difference.
I still struggle with offsets and backspacing. Joe's the resident expert on all that because he comes a little bit more from the wheel industry than I do, but yeah, he's the more of the.
It's been fun, dude. It's been a lot of fun, actually.
What? Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about your wheel experience? That Joe, the tire guy, actually was not always, and Joe actually, when he sees those low pros, those stretch tires, he's like, oh yeah, that looks good, but that's misapplication.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, no, that's been a lot of fun. Like I guess like the latest one's been that Ranger, right? Test fitting what fits, that little extra quarter inch or whatnot, and the offsets and this and that, and that's definitely been. Sorry, I think the best one's probably the Jeep. The Jeep is probably the best example. We get it ready for SEMA. We go to load in the trailer, and it's too wide. Yeah, these are more negative of an offset. So obviously they're sticking out further, So there we go, putting the other wheels back into the trailer. Just like, man, you guys forgetting something, man. But yeah, offsets, and the widths.
I mean, it makes sense why there was a problem. I wasn't there, so I mean that just explains it all.
Yeah, your priorities are all messed up. You're in this thing called school or college.
Yeah, I was at school. I don't know. Yeah, my priorities were all backwards.
You're all messed up.
So I guess my next question is I'm going to start fielding a standard set of questions for every guest who comes on the show so we can kind of get an idea of who we're having on the show. So Abe, what are you driving right now? And what was like the coolest car you had as a kid or growing up, or like your first car, or at least significant vehicles in your life?
Yeah. What I'm driving right now, I'm driving a 2018 Kia Stinger GT2. Some people that don't know what the Stinger is, they just hear Kia and they're like, whoa, 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 you call yourself an enthusiast. But hey, hold on, it's a V6.
Oh, yeah.
My Stinger, it's got the Bape wrap. Shout out to OC Wraps. It's on airbags. I got rotors, forged wheels. Stock is 365 horsepower, but I'm probably pushing about 415 to the wheels right now. Full racing exhaust, cold air intakes, a tune, pretty much all. Well, you know what? Actually, I got my meth kit coming soon as well. So, as soon as we get that installed at Concept 3, I'll probably be back at Race Wars at at the drag strip.
Race Wars.
Proving people wrong, you know what I mean? Because I like to go up against some Mustangs, and they see a Stinger, and some of the guys get butthurt after they get smoked. It is what it is.
So what was the first car you had as a kid growing up?
First car I had growing up was, 98 Honda Accord sedan.
Nice.
Yeah, and I don't know. Let's see, it was probably a few months, maybe about 6 months into it. It's probably gonna give away. It had the Black Widow kit, and that that's gonna take some people way back. You know what I mean? So I probably gave away my age to the guys who knows what the Black Widow kit is. So had the Black Widow kit on it. So I thought I was cool.
So last car related question: what is your dream car? If you go out and buy anything right now, what would it be?
Well, you know what? Traditionally, I was I liked exotic cars. I liked the Aventador, but recently I found out, my wife and I found out we're having our first kid. It's coming in October, so that dream changed, right?
For sure.
So hopefully one day I would love to have a Lambo Urus, right? It's more practical, right? for the baby, but I wouldn't get it without the 1016 kit, because I definitely like an aftermarket guy. So even with the Lambo or any type of car, I'd always do some aftermarket mods. And
put some AZ850s on that thing then.
What's that?
Put some Atturo AZ850s on there then.
Hey Joe, I'm gonna submit a proposal. Don't worry, I won't DM you. I'll submit a
legit.
Yeah, before the show we were talking about sponsorship proposals, and the proper way to ask for a sponsorship would not be to send a 1-word to 1-sentence question on Instagram involving sponsor ? Send a real proposal. We even make it easy. We have a form right on our site that guides you through what's required, what you need to submit. You know what? People still don't do that. And I think people don't understand what a sponsorship is. It's not just free tires because you have a cool vehicle. It is a give and take, and what we expect to get out of you're still paying for the tires. You're still paying for the wheels. You're paying for whatever you're getting. You're just paying for it in a different way than money. And I think people don't understand that.
Guys, if for all you guys at home looking for sponsorships, just for a minute, put yourself in the manufacturer's shoes. Yeah. And you really got to ask yourself, why would they sponsor me, right? Like, I mean, you have to bring value. So, I mean, we were just talking, we'd be filthy rich if for every time say sponsor me emoji, like LOL or whatever, question mark, right? Like, man, have your show list. What are you going to do? How many times you're going to post? Like, why, just ask yourself, why would they sponsor you? Why would they want to give me all this free stuff?
Yeah, I think the idea of putting yourself in the manufacturer's shoes is a good one, because you think, why would they want to sponsor me? And I think people think, oh, well, I have a decent Instagram following. I got a couple thousand followers, and my truck's pretty cool, so they of course got to sponsor me. I mean, yeah, maybe, but you have to be providing us something that we can't do on our own, especially in terms of social media. If you have less reach than we do, there's less of a reason for us to sponsor you, unless it's a different kind of reach, but then you need to justify that.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I was making a couple notes. I think like timing, just your product type, and if you're already doing it now, like definitely timing being what are we doing at the moment, and does it coincide with what you're working on? Well, then
Yep.
okay, hey,
And
you've
some people can have great builds, and at the end of the day, to a
Yeah.
degree, it's kind of a crapshoot in terms of if you're going to get picked or not, because it's all dependent on what internally we want to focus on, what markets we want to focus on,
what you're planning
products,
out for.
what products we want to push, and you don't know that, and I mean, you shouldn't have to know that, but you can have a great build, but that's just not the direction we're looking to go right now.
And I think definitely my biggest is something, and before it didn't used to be like that. Earlier on, it's a little different, but now I think it's you have to already be doing it now. And by doing it now, it's like taking pictures, doing videos. Like you have to already be doing that stuff, man.
Right.
Like to show examples of your work, and that's
doing that doesn't even guarantee anything. That puts you into consideration, right?
Exactly. You have to.
And you're submitting a post, say, I will start doing, you can forget about it. I mean,
nope, right? Exactly. Nope. Like that was cool before.
Right. But hey guys, I mean, for those guys that are looking for spot, I got a tip for you right now, right? I mean, all three of us guys were working in marketing. I mean, we had to pivot due to COVID-19, right? Traditionally the marketing team and I, because I work in marketing, is, we would be setting up photo shoots, video shoots, but due to the conditions that we're in right now, if you're submitting a proposal and you have either you're a photographer, a videographer, like you should definitely put in your proposal that I will provide you video and high quality photos right away, right? Because that's a value that you can bring to a marketing team of a tire or a wheel brand right now, because a lot of the videographers or the manufacturers are going to have a harder time coordinating those video shoots, right? Not to say that we should all be going out taking photos, but if you live in a secluded state or something like that, and you're isolated, maybe you're supposed to do it yourself. Definitely, that those are ways that you can bring manufacturers value, especially during these times right now where we need content.
Being more clear with verbiage for sure, like saying high quality photos versus photos. It's just like, yep.
And again, there's a difference. There's a difference between, high quality and Hollywood quality and studio. And we understand that to a degree. Not everyone's going to be some sort of pro photographer, pro videographer, have all this fancy, perfect pictures, perfect videos. But, it needs to be shot on something better than, an iPhone 3. It needs to not be blurry. Right. It needs to have, if it's a video, have decent audio. Don't have, audio issues, wind noise, this and that. It's the basic stuff. Everybody has a decent cell phone in their pocket right now to take pictures and videos with. Any sort of decent new iPhone, new Android, whatever, you can take good photos with it. Doesn't need to be like what I'm showing right now. I'm showing some of the clips you sent over, Abe, from pictures. It doesn't have to be this. This should be.
You know what truck that is, right, Colin? Sorry to cut you off.
The Black Knight truck?
Yeah, that was the Black Knight truck, dude. That
you
Black
don't
Knight
have
1500,
to.
Man.
You don't have to have, Hollywood production quality, but at least put in the effort. This is what you should strive for in a perfect world. It may not get there, but that's what you should strive for.
And I think that's due to people, your followers and your people you interact with themselves raising their own standards, like the quality that they deliver, like the pictures they submit, like, yeah, it keeps leveling up and you're like, all right, well then new bar.
And even in the proposals, I mean, because we go through a lot of proposals, the marketing team and I, right? I mean,
I can just imagine.
The more detail you can get, I mean, yeah, high quality photos, that's great, but don't you dare think one high quality photo post is going to pay for a set of four cast wheels, right? I mean, get in there saying, hey, 3 times a week, it's going to go on my regular feed. 2 videos for stories. Like, you really want to break that down, right?
Oh yeah.
The level of commitment for sure, definitely clearly stated.
I literally think some guys think like posting one photo, they're like, okay, we're even. It's like, no,
we got one great photo. The photographer, photographer buddy, he wanted to charge $30 a photo, so I could only afford one.
The Jeep that you're showing from the beach and stuff like that, that one came out really sharp, man. Yeah. What beach was that at?
That was, let's see, Huntington Beach.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. There's like nobody there.
So remote. Yeah, it was like so remote. I would have like, wow.
And whew, and it kills because we're in California. I mean, like last week it was kind of gloomy, but like I mean, days like today, it's 75 degrees, blue sky, sunny as hell, and yeah, I've been stuck in here, and it kills me. I just us SoCal folks want to get out and
Get out there.
use the environment and all that, but man, it's tough. And the first week working from home, I was like, hey, I was like,
This cool. This cool.
Second week, third week, I'm on my fifth week, and I'm like, oh man, I want to get back to normal. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, you're looking at the clock at the end of the day. You're like, man, 5 minutes so I can move from my office chair to the couch. That evening commute.
Yeah. Actually, there today when I did drive in towards, we've been rotating out. There was more traffic on the way in and on the way back. I was like,
really
interesting. Yeah,
not normal.
Not like
traffic,
normal.
though. Yeah,
not normal traffic. But Damien, what's up? It's Mr. Yeah,
Mr. Damien, how's it going, sir? Hope you guys are all staying safe there.
Yeah. But see, like he's a good example about a sponsorship, man. How and where you can take things, like the videos that he did with Abe, the shows that they attended, the magazine write up in Dub and Lift and Level, I think it was. Yeah, it was amazing. It's like 4 pages, 5 pages, or something like that.
Damien is a rock star, man. That's only if all the sponsors were like Damien, Black Knight, follow, woo. Man, that guy's yeah. I mean, Damien,
something else, dude. Man,
he's bringing value. Like that's a great relationship. You know what I mean?
And that's what people don't get, that it's still a value exchange. People don't understand that there is a value exchange, whether or not it's monetarily. We're still exchanging something and expect something in return.
And Damien's a good example about raising the bar. So when you work with someone like that, you're like, boop, new bar. So when other people, it's like, nah, dude.
Yeah. So all these, just so you guys know, all these great people we work with, they're screwing you over because now the bar is even higher.
Exactly. It's like bloop, new bar.
All right, I got some pictures of that Tundra up now too, and that thing is pretty. That's a pretty wild build. That's Adrian. He was in here.
Yeah,
he was in here in the chat. I don't know if he still is, but if anybody has questions about that, I'm sure we could.
Project Full Metal Jacket. But you know what? Adrian's another good example too, even if he's not in here. Or I'm pretty sure he is. So I don't want to say babysitting, man, because that's such a bad word to use, but self-sufficient. There you go. The level of like the person performs at being self-sufficient. Like Damien, Adrian, they definitely have that, man. So like when SEMA time came around, it's just they're gonna get things done. And there's nothing better than walking up to a vehicle and with your boss, next to you and seeing this, and it's just like pristine, man. Like, dude, I was like,
well, because it's one of those things. People think like, oh, can I talk to the sponsorship department? Can I talk to the person who coordinates builds? No, that's us. It's not like we don't have a different department that just deals with sponsorships. So it's not like we're doing everything else and dealing with this. So if you can be self-sufficient, we don't have to, like Joe said, babysit I mean, it's a good word for it, because we shouldn't have to, have to check in. Hey, do you have pictures for me? Hey, do you have this done? Where are you at with your build? What's your status? Can you make a post? Can you do this? Can you do that? I don't have time to hound every single person we work with to do that stuff.
And a little bit to level up above self-sufficient would be with Damien, for example, being proactive, like we would show up to the booth inside, and who's already there cleaning the vehicle up? Damien, dude. Like, whoa, this is like nice. It's like you're here to help set up, and you're not like, this is people who want to be there, enjoy being there, man. Like they make the show. They make the show.
Damien keeps his freaking truck spotless. Like that thing is cleaner than the day it rolled off the lot, right? Like, I mean, I was so impressed. I would eat food off the truck, but if I did, he would come after me. I would never do that. But man, he's first one there, last one. I mean, wow, he knows what's up. He's really a rock star.
Yeah, so this is Damien's truck who we're talking about on stream right now. The lifted.
Yeah.
Damien, he was trying to sell that truck for a while. I don't know if he ended up selling it or if he still got it or if it's not for sale anymore. But if it's still for sale and not sold, and you want that truck,
your new build, hit us with that sponsorship, man. You right up to the top of the list, bro. Straight up, like, yeah, you brought so much value. We'll work with you anytime.
But yeah, if you want to buy the Silverado and it's still for sale, you can message Damien. I'm sure he'll say something at some point if it is or not in the chat and correct me. But if it is, go buy it because it's a cool build. And it, like Abe said, it's spotless.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Spotless.
it's pristine, dude. That thing is, man, I think it's amazing. Next was okay. Here's a funny story, real fast, just because we're right here. So when him and I were working together for that vehicle, he was originally going to be parked out front or whatever. But then come SEMA time, and I'm telling my boss, I'm like, yo, you really got to look at this truck. I think we should park it inside. He's like, oh, okay, we'll check it out. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, dude, let's put this inside, you know. And it paid off. So I mean, it paid off amazing, man. That thing is so clean, dude.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
It's amazing
on that, and I mean, doesn't matter like who looks at it. When you look at it, it's just that you're gonna respect that build no matter what. It's
yeah. Ah, man, so that like, I guess that kind of goes with everything. Just good people, man. Good people make it fun, and as long as you just always have like, don't suck the fun out of anything, and just keep having fun, dude. Like the work doesn't. I mean, it's the work, just like anything else.
So, on the topic of vehicle builds and sponsorships, what is a build that has been going around the internet or come across your desk or something that was really unique and kind of caught your attention to both of you? Maybe doesn't have to be something maybe you were considering for sponsorship, but anything just around, you know, the internet or something unique that just stood out to you recently.
Yeah, well, actually, it wasn't on the internet. So GTC, German Tuning Corp out in Irvine, they are Brabus USA.
Yep.
Not open to the public except with appointments. The sales director over there, I'm friends with, and I had to stop by. And the corner of my eye, I see a G-Wagon Brabus G800 Desert Stand Storm, and I said, "What the beep is that?" And I'm like, I mean, no matter what, a Brabus G-Wagon is beautiful, but with the Desert Stand Storm, it was fully done up.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, I don't know who you guys are building that for, and I couldn't even put it on social because they were building it for somebody. It's right? Or it would have been on my social instantly. He's like, no, but it caught my eye, and I was like, whatever I'm doing, I need to work a lot harder and try to, you know,
get on that level. Yeah,
that's what's up.
So,
no, Chris, Chris in the comments, we already sponsored your C10, and I'm still waiting for those tires to go on. I mean, I don't see you at any shows right now, man. I don't know what you're doing. You got to step up your game. You said you were going to all these shows this summer. I mean, I haven't seen anything. I don't know.
Right, for real, it's like lies. It's all lies. This is sponsorship's a hard time.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a few more recently than not. A lot of cool overlanding builds come in. That's obviously the next big thing to a lot of us for sponsorships. And I think the overlanding thing is going to be big. And I think after the whole coronavirus thing is over, I think overlanding and camping and RVing and that sort of thing is going to skyrocket because people aren't going to want to stay in hotels. So I think that's kind of the direction the industry is going.
You know what?
I'd agree with that. I mean, our most recent video that actually, you know, got edited and put onto the Centerline site is with Kevin, one of another Rockstar sponsoree, and it was with his Toyota Tacoma, and it was a social distancing quarantine themed video, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, and he sets up his whole tent, and on top of it, and he's like, "Hey, get in," and I like laid down. Almost fell asleep. You know, I was about to take a power nap. I was like, that thing is legit, you know? And I was like, dude, this thing is perfect for this time. And I was like, and he was telling, and we were just having a discussion. I was like, you know what? I need to get a tent, you know, and do that overland thing. I as soon as he set it up, and the thing is it's set up so easily, and it was so quick. You know, I thought it was going to take a while, and, you know, we were doing a time-lapse video and all that. And I was like, man, he's done already. You know what I mean? It was a really short time-lapse video because it just didn't take too long. But, you know, after seeing it, laying down in it, I was like, oh, okay, I know what the whole ordeal is. It's, you know, it's awesome. So Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's gonna blow up. It's already been blowing up.
See,
But I
Joe,
think
Joe wants to put a rooftop tent on our Ranger build we're doing.
I
And I
know,
told
you
him, and
always
I go,
fight me on it, dude. You
and I
always
go,
fight me on
well,
it.
you know,
Hater.
Joe, who's sleeping in that? I get it's cool, but like neither one of us goes
Okay,
overlanding.
See, you know, social media and content, dude. No, you know what? Speaking of overlanding, remember that time we were in Colorado and we were at Airbnb, and then our neighbors were some overlanding people. We're like,
So
dude,
we get this Airbnb, right? And I go out and unlock the Jeep, and it has a car alarm on it because when we take the roof off, people can't. It has like a proximity sensor, so it's loud. First thing in the morning, I unlock the Jeep, and this guy comes out and goes, "You know, we're trying to sleep in this and that." I'm like, dude, that's your overlanding build there. Why are you even here, dude? Like, why aren't you overlanding? But no, Joe keeps wanting to put a rooftop tent on the Ranger, and you know, I tell him, I'm like, Joe, who are you trying to save on hotels or something and get security for the booth by having me sleep at these events inside the Ranger or what? Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sleeping with Joe in a tent. We're close when we travel to events. We're not that close to share a rooftop tent together. I don't know.
You know what? Be careful what you say, man. Colorado, dude. Like a couple years ago,
we weren't in the same tent. We were not in the same tent.
But I'm saying the amount of coldness how cold they got at night.
I would have froze. I would have dealt with that.
Well, we knew that the overlanding thing. I mean, you know, we were at SEMA last year at the Performance Pavilion. They made that whole overlanding section like that was before. It was always the new
parts,
whatnot. But like, I mean, they dedicated that whole section for overlanding, and you know, there was a lot of tents and Off-Road Expo. I was like, man, this thing is dominated by the tents on top of, you know, trucks, Jeeps, or whatever's.
And that's my point with the tents. It's something that's it stands out, it's memorable, and people love to take pictures of it.
Okay. And Joe, my other who's setting that up at every event we go to? Who's oh, is that going to be the events team? Oh, I forgot the events department will do that. That's right.
And set up the trailer.
Because Joe, every event we go to, every time, you know, teardown conveniently comes. Oh, I'll be right back. I go to the bathroom. Joe comes back as I'm like putting the last thing in the trailer. Oh, you're already done? Well, yeah, I didn't stand around and wait for you.
Well, you work so fast sometimes. You know what? I'm glad Abe, you talked about Toyota Tacomas, man, because I feel that those are more and more, man. I see them in a lot more places for sure, man.
Those mid-size truck market's going to be a competitive market. You got the Ranger now, the Tacoma, the Gladiator.
Yeah. That Gladiator, man.
What would you guys pick out of those?
Depends what I'm gonna do. I mean, if you want the most trail capable rig, I mean, a Gladiator Rubicon blows the other two out of the water just with the lockers and the sway bar and all that stuff. I mean, you can build the other two to be just as good. Like, you could put a lock front and rear lockers in either or. But if you want a super trail capable rig, I think there's no competition for the Gladiator.
Depends how much speed you need to, probably, though, right?
Yeah.
If you need more speed, you probably go with Tacomas or something else, maybe just a little. Then again, it's just be like sand, faster, whatever. Then you just get better shocks.
Yeah, I'd probably go with the Gladiator unless that the Tacoma looked like Kevin G's on the center line. I mean, that thing that raised the bar for me. So if it was between that, I'd probably go with the Tacoma. Off the lot stock, I'd probably go with the Gladiator, but Kevin's Tacoma is badass.
Yeah, I just think the Tacoma. I mean, we're building a Ranger right now. The Ranger's cool. I like it. The Tacomas I've always thought are cool little trucks, but I just think, especially because the Tacomas and the Rangers are both independent front suspension versus the Gladiator's got that solid rear axle, so you're still going to get your very kind of trail capable setup. So I think in terms of something for very hardcore overlanders, somebody who wants to go up into the mountains in Colorado and Utah or whatever and camp, I don't think there's any competition. For like the casual person who maybe just wants to go to more like kind of remote campsites and be self-sustaining and sleep in a rooftop tent because it's convenient and that sort of thing, I think any of them would be good.
You know what? Right now, speaking of the outdoors and stuff, there was an app, not that it's like plug-in or anything, but Outdoorsy. So there's an app called Outdoorsy, and I used them when I went for an event at Pismo Beach, Oceano Dunes. So I rented out the Sprinter for a couple of days, and it was cool because it had like solar panels on it, an awning on the side, electronic steps that came out. What else? What else? Had a shower with just water on the back, so you could just use water to come out of that. And you could charge up your gear, and it was cool because I was able to use my laptop, and but that's what would drain everything though, actually the laptop. But you were able to do post and whatnot and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool, man.
Outdoorsy, you said?
That was at Pismo Beach.
No, what app? It was the Outdoorsy.
Oh, Outdoorsy. Sorry, Outdoorsy. Like outdoor and then just SY Outdoorsy. And it's cool because it's basically an Airbnb, but for for vehicles and stuff, man. So what I did is I landed at the airport, Ubered over or Lyft or whatever over to the person's house, picked it up, and then and actually it was cool, man. When I dropped it off.
Airports.
They gave me a ride to the airport.
I remember we could go to airports still.
Those
were the. I see videos like you sat down and watch a movie and you just see people like eating at a restaurant. And you're like, man, those were the days. Like those are the days when I could just go to like wherever, go down to Bennigan's and just get a burger. Go to the bar, like the things you take for granted. Just
I'll tell you what though, in California, one thing that haven't changed. The free drive-through lines at In-N-Out, man. Holy, the line is going outside the main street, and you just gotta watch out on the far side of the street.
Do they have an app where you order ahead of time and stuff before you get there?
No, I don't think so. You just gotta pay your dues, and however long the lines are. That thing is wrapping around the building.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A lot of places out here you have to you pay through the app or whatever, and then you get out there and get your food or your whatever.
Yeah, but it's just crazy. You sit down, man. Restaurants, man. Remember going places? Remember when you were allowed to go places? Those were the days. Some things just changed so much so quickly. But yeah, going to airports. I mean, every time I drive past the airport, there's still planes taking off. Like, who's flying? Who is on these planes? Or I see people on Facebook. Yeah, I had to reschedule my cruise, and we're going in July. You couldn't pay me to go near a cruise ship in the next year.
Because you get kind of stuck on it.
I would choose an airplane over a cruise ship any day.
Yeah, dude. Limited captivity time.
It's just too long.
Cruise ships were borderline at best before this all started. And then with all this, it's to another level. But yeah, I had to push back my trip to July, but we're gonna go. I mean, I'm all for getting back out and doing things. Cruise ships are gonna be on like the very bottom of my list in terms of what's next to happen.
Oh man. Events wise and stuff like that, or just even going out period wise, it's funny how our last event was or the King of the Hammers event that we did, the whole getting stuck at Disney thing for a day, man. It's like, wow, that ended up being the coolest thing ever that we could have done.
Yeah, because now Disney's closed and open
right?
TBD, and we happened to so for those who don't know, we were at King of the Hammers the day after, 2 days after. We go to where did we fly out?
Ontario Airport.
We flew out of Ontario Airport, connected through somewhere to O'Hare. So we go to leave, get on the plane. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have to sit on the tarmac for the next 15 minutes to see if the high winds go down where we're trying to land for our layover." I forgot where it was, somewhere in Northern California. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna wait another 20 minutes." Then they're like, "Yeah, it's going to be another half hour, but if you want to get off the plane, you could stretch your legs." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that might as well." I'm like, "Joe, just grab our bags and get off. We ain't leaving anytime soon." We get off, and then they're like, "Yeah, the flight's going to be canceled." I'm like, "Well, we start looking."
Everybody has to get off now.
Yeah, everybody get off. So we start looking. We're like, "Man, there's some flights we could maybe get, but they're all later in the day. We're not going to get back until super late. We're going to be tired. And then our next day is going to be shot anyway because we're going to be tired." So I'm like, "Man, Disneyland's only 40 minutes away from here. Could rent a car for one day for like $20. Joe, let's just get a flight out tomorrow and go to Disney.
There you go.
We'll share a room.
The world, right? Like, boom.
I mean,
It was great, man.
sometimes
I
you
brought-
gotta, sometimes you just gotta, you know, like Joe said, you gotta make sure you keep it fun. I mean, it's just
Don't
gotta
suck
make the
fun
best out
out
of a
it.
shitty situation.
Yeah, don't suck the. And okay, and that also goes to experience too, because we've been through the whole, you know, going through airports, fighting for the next flight, and the next flight turns into your whole freaking day. Then you're like the next morning, and it's just like, you're not in control of your time, dude. And not being in control of your time, that kills me. It's like, nope, I'm not gonna let you. I'm gonna manage my time. All right, we'll meet tomorrow morning. You know what? Let's go, whatever. And it's cool because home wise, I brought back a bunch of souvenirs and whatnot. And it's cool because now I point the souvenirs and I'm like, you know, that's like, you know, that's like a limited edition right now, man. Like you can't get that right now. You know?
Hey, Colin, earlier I noticed, I think the cup that you're drinking out of was a Mickey Mouse
Yeah,
one.
it
Is
was.
that out?
No, that's this.
Steamboat Willie, dude.
These are
Steamboat
old.
Willie.
This is from forgot when those were from. That's from like the 100th anniversary of something. 100 years of magic. These are limited edition. You can see it was actually a McDonald's giveaway item like years ago when I was a kid.
Oh,
Yeah, they gave. I don't think it was a giveaway. You had to like go buy them, but they released them at like one cup like every few weeks. So you had to go in there and buy one.
Man.
Well,
That's
hey,
actually, I love McDonald's. Man. I'd be there in a heartbeat.
good promotional thing, I'd say. I mean, gets people in, gets you something a little more special than, you know, just a cheapy Happy Meal toy.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
The Palm Springs airport that Doug mentioned in the comments. I've never actually flown in or out of that one yet. I don't know why.
I think we looked at that one at one point.
Yeah,
It was
I don't know why I
significantly
didn't.
more expensive because
Is
it's
it?
smaller.
I think it was just the timing too, more than anything, which is a lot of flight-based stuff, right? Another example of traveling, right? You know, you can always like get the early flight, get out there, but you're always just freaking tired when you get anywhere, you know? So like, yes, you get there, but you're just like, you're always drained. And then that's not healthy or smart.
But no, you sleep on the plane, dude. You can sleep on the plane.
Oh yeah, totally. Right. Yeah.
In California, man, my two airports of choice is it's Long Beach or it's John Wayne. I mean, in and out, boom. Anything outside of that, like it's a nightmare. I got friends flying in. I was like LAX. I was like, hey man, call
Nope.
Nope.
I had a friend one time. I was like, hey, I'm flying into LAX. She's like, all right, we'll take this bus to like whatever location. So then I took a bus from the airport to some location. Then he picked up at this location. He's like, exactly, man. LAX sucks. I'm like, damn. All right, dude.
Well, I don't. Well, I think flying, everyone like always complains about going through. Maybe we just gotten lucky, but every time we've flown, never had a problem with security. And like Joe, you had the TSA pre thing, and the guy's like, "You want to go through pre?" And you're like, "There's no line in regular, so why? Like, I'm not going to." I've never. Maybe we just happen to fly at good times, but I've never had the nightmare airport experience where everyone's like, "Yeah, you stand in line at TSA for 3 hours and then you miss your flight." I've always like get there 2 hours early because I always do because I never want to be late. Get there 2 hours early, get through security, and I look down. I'm like, I got an hour 45 minutes still to kill. What like now I gotta just waste time in the airport because I got here super early.
Yeah, except that was it Utah or was it Grand Junction? Which airport was it? Where you had
Oh, where I
water
had that
inside? You had water inside the water bottle. So they had to walk you over to empty it out.
Oh yeah. So the one time we flew out, what event was that? That was it was Easter Jeep Safari. We flew out to Easter Jeep Safari last year. This year we were actually gonna take the Jeep. Rest in peace. That fly out to Easter Jeep Safari. I flew out of Michigan, met Joe there. We're flying back. This tiny little airport. How many gates do you think there were there? 10 maybe?
If that, dude.
Like 10 gates. It's like 2 people working security. I had my reusable water bottle in my bag and forgot about it. Had a little bit of water in it. Get through and the lady's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to take this." I'm like, it's not even a disposable one. Like it's my nice reusable Atturo water bottle. I'm like, can you just dump it out? She goes, "No, you'll have to dump it out and come back through security."
Yep.
Oh my God. They would have you would think it's like, come on, dump the water.
No,
because she didn't want to dispose of whatever was in it in the secure area.
Yeah.
So she handed it back. So she walked me out. I would have just told them if it was if it was O'Hare, if it was LAX, I would have said, take the water bottle. I'll just get a new one when we get back. but there was nobody in line behind us. So they stopped the security line to walk me, because there's only 2 people there, to walk me around like the back entrance. I dump it out, and then I had to go back through again. And the same lady has to check and scan my ID then and go back through. But there was no line, so it didn't matter. But if that was at O'Hare, I would have said, nope, you guys can keep the bottle.
Yeah. That airport was so small. Remember the security guy was walking around and like to everyone, did you lose a phone? Did you lose a phone? Did you lose it? I'm like, no way, dude. That's amazing. Like, this guy.
There was one bar / restaurant in the whole airport.
I think it was Grand Junction, man. It was
Grand Junction, Colorado. That was a tiny airport.
Grand Junction, dude.
One of the smaller ones I've flown out of. So Joe, I see you put in the show notes here. You want to talk about your adventure with the Jeep?
Well, you know what, man? It's like back to the whole like every week.
Joe's lack of mechanical knowledge strikes again on Tire Talk with Atturo Tires. This is why still baffles me. Somehow we give him a company vehicle, but we do.
Because it's user testing, right?
User error. I've heard of that before. I never experienced it myself, but I've heard that's a thing.
So I was contemplating today, man. I used a remote starter. Turned it on, warmed it up. No reason, whatever, but just did that because it's usual habits.
Warmed it up. It was 60 today. What are you warming it up?
It's just a habit. It's like you wake up, I wake up, vehicle wakes up. It's just like, I don't know, usual habits, man. So got that going and go out there, go on the way to work. It's, about a 45-minute drive or so. And check engine light comes on. I'm like, dang, not again. Mind you, I'm driving maybe a little fast, maybe a little bit of, hypothetically speaking, a little bit above speed limit. So I'm going, get to work, cool, engine lights on. I look at how many mileage it has, and then I look at the next oil change. I'm like, okay, it's about due. Changed it out, cool. Drove around for a little bit, check engine light goes off, whatever. But as I'm doing that, I was trying to find a lock for our 5th wheel trailer and stuff. And as I walk around the Jeep, I see that our little antenna thing has this little Ronin. It's like a bullet 50 cal antenna, and it's broken off and trapped into the door. I'm like, whoa, that sucks, man. So I can't get that to fit back on. So I'm thinking, like, how can I cut that? So obviously, Turo, we have knives, whatever. So I take a knife out of the Jeep and I cut out this little plastic piece and put it back in, screw it back down, and it fit perfect, So I'm like, yes.
Yo, a knife is not a multi-tool.
Yes, it came in handy again.
No, it is not.
But I didn't use it as a screwdriver for once.
Did you cut yourself?
No, thankfully, because I didn't use it as a screwdriver.
Every time we used to have these tire stands we'd set up at events, and every time they need to be tight, I look over and Joe has the knife open and he's like ramming it into like the screw thing. I'm like, Jesus, dude, we had screwdrivers here. What are you doing?
They're not screwdrivers. Oh man, good times.
So the big news out this week in terms of for us for off-roading is our next event that was on the schedule, and this doesn't really come as a surprise to me at all, really. Silver Lake Jeep Invasion in Michigan at the Sand Dunes was canceled, postponed to October, I believe, or no, September. I don't have the exact dates in front of me. I think it's Labor Day weekend, around there.
But everyone's fighting for the same thing.
But yeah, these event promoters and whatever are pushing their events back to September, October, November, and like this time is stacked for us now. Like, I wonder how that's going to affect these events in terms of attendance, just because they have so much competition now versus before it was spread out over several months. What do you guys think about that?
Oh yeah, I mean everything's getting pushed back. Well, everyone's postponing it till then, thinking that it's going to get back to normal. But as you know, when you're having events, you want them spaced out because everyone's fighting for that attention. I think there's going to be definitely too much supply, not enough demand type of deal.
Yeah.
Off-Road Expo, SEMA. I mean, who knows?
Off-Road Expo, dude.
Like, yeah, everyone's picking September, October. So I think a lot of these events are going to run into that exact same issue for sure.
So I think the question for you guys and for the audience here is, if there was an event within the next, let's say not even next week, in the next month, would you commit to go today? If you had to choose to go or not, would you go?
No, I wouldn't. I would sit this one out. I think my opinion of my wife, it also matters.
You're murdered.
That's kind of like back of my mind. I'm definitely playing it safe. Anytime I go out, I got my little disposable mask. I got rubber
Yeah.
gloves, and I got my hand sanitizers. I'm definitely taking extra precautions, especially because I got a little one coming along the way. So I'd probably skip out anything that's coming up in the next month or so. I don't know about you guys.
Chris Ashton says depends on location.
That's a good point.
Edwin said he'd absolutely go, and I think the problem is there's people in both camps where there's the people who you won't catch me dead, and there's the people who are like, yeah, I want to go. I'm chomping at the bit to get out of here, and I think a lot of people are in the middle, but where are those people going to fall when it comes time to actually make the decision? Where are those people going to end up? Like those, because people who don't want to go, people who don't want to go now, their opinion's not going to change in 6 months. They're still not going to want to go. People who want to go now are still going to want to go in 6 months. So the question is, those people in the middle, what are the swing voters, as one might say? Where are you going to end up? Where are they going to end up?
Well, interesting. Okay, that's spot on. I think the middle of just a dependent. You're dependent upon other people's actions and how you're going to react to that, because you don't want to be selfish and you don't want to be irresponsible either, right? You don't want to be that person that it might have got someone sick by accident or whatnot. And even at work today, I was having a conversation with one of the ladies in the office, about being responsible for yourself and just other people, but at the same time, like being within reason of.
Well, I think the biggest thing is like Abe said, if you're not living by yourself, it's not just a you responsibility; it's your family. It's you. I mean, this thing is so contagious. It's not like, oh yeah, I'll go out and get sick, and then I'm healthy. It's not going to be a big deal for me. But you're going to bring it home, and then that's your responsibility to giving it to everybody else in your household.
Right.
Yeah.
Me being married and becoming soon, a father, that changes your decision makings dramatically, right? Like my decisions today and before I was single, like it's totally different, So there's definitely different layers of thought processes that I'm considering, and I think those guys in the middle, it's also like, what environment are you in, right? Like, I mean, do you live in a place that's heavily congested, or are you in the country? Like, I think that all that kind of stuff, all those variables really
play into it.
Well, we were saying at the office the other day that I think the off-road centric events are going to have the most durability in terms of these events where I'm kind of surprised Silver Lake did get. I'm not really, but if it weren't to get canceled, I wouldn't have been surprised either, because you're all driving around in your Jeep. You're not on top of each other, or like there's an event we do in Colorado, All for Fun, where it's mainly trail rides. You're never all congested in a big area. So I think the events that have, that's more spread out kind of interactivity, I think are going to be the better ones that maybe last through this, but maybe not.
Was that canceled by the event itself, or was that like a city thing? Do you know, like, where did that decision, how did that occur? Because I think some of the shows, like at least in California, if it's at a convention center, you said that one's outdoors, but like I'm curious to know, was that like a city thing? Did they say you got to shut it down, or was that actually from the event itself?
As far as I could tell, it was the event itself making the decision. I mean, the state of Michigan is kind of a disaster right now, and how things are going on, and how it's very controversial how the governor's handling it. And I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but the state parks are closed right now, and it's a state park where they have the trail rides or the dunes where they have the event is the state park, and they haven't announced when they're opening. So maybe they had a preemptive talk with the state about, hey, we're not going to have these opened up, but they haven't announced to the public that they won't be open up at that date.
Gotcha.
So I think the serious question is that's still on everybody's mind is if SEMA's going to happen. What do you think, Abe? Do you think SEMA has a realistic possibility of getting canceled?
Oh, I do. I was just having that. I hope it doesn't, and I hope by then. I mean, that's November, right? It's a traditional
early November.
And I'm praying that, like, man, by then, I really hope things are back to normal. But I was just having a conversation with some of my team members, and if it was up to SEMA, I'm sure they want it to happen, right? But it's up to SEMA. It's up to the Las Vegas Convention Center, which I'm sure the city of Vegas is going to have a lot of pull in that, right? Like, I mean, just for what Vegas is, casino, it's a hub where everyone's traveling back and forth, right? They need to take their extra precautions just because, I think it can be dangerous, so I hope it happens, but I think there is a serious, and a probable, that it just gets canceled or even further delayed. Who knows? I hope it doesn't, but I think there's a good chance.
Yeah, because we were talking internally in our group here about SEMA did an Instagram post about, reserve your booth space now, blah, 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 for the event. And the comments were mixed at best in terms of people like, oh, this isn't going to happen. Why are you promoting this? And blah, blah, this isn't going to happen. I wouldn't go. And I mean, maybe that's true. Maybe it will get canceled, but I mean, SEMA's going to hold out till the end till they're told they can't have it, because that's a business decision for them. They need to have that sort of revenue stream.
Absolutely. Well, from what I heard is, there's a refund policy because of this, right?
So September or sometime, right? Late September or something like that.
Traditionally not the case, right? And all manufacturers that exhibit I'm sure would agree, SEMA is not the show to exhibit, right? Like, you need to have some kind of reassurance. But I mean, guys, you've been going to SEMA. I've been going to SEMA past 5-6 years. Is before the COVID-19 even happened. By the end of the week, the chances of you catching a cold is kind of high, man. I've shaken so many people's hands, meet with so many.
The SEMA plague.
Even if it happens, I mean, there's a bunch of guys like me that are married, that have kids, like. That's on the back of your mind, right? Like, I mean, even if it happens, am I going to shake 1,000 people? Probably not, man. I'm going to have a big old bottle of Purell and just like washing my hands like crazy.
It's going to be the elbow bump.
Right, man. You know what? I might even do the foot bump.
Yeah, dude.
No, that's just too many people.
The house party.
I think even if it happens, like, I think the foot traffic is actually going to be less, a little bit less, I mean,
I think it'll be significantly less. I don't think a lot of those, because I realistically don't see them letting in a lot of foreigners, a lot of people from other countries by November even. I mean, he's got the 60-day ban on immigration right now, and I'm pretty sure most countries aren't even allowed to come into the U.S. for visiting. And I mean, you can talk about the political implications of that all you want, but from a scientific standpoint, in terms of limiting the spread, it's a good call. But I don't see them letting a ton of and I mean, SEMA and Apex both have a ton of international people who come through. So
yeah.
I think you're going to at least see that cut down drastically, if not at all. It's going to be mainly Americans and American companies. But
not just that. I mean, the want factor. Like, do they even want to come over here, dude? They're like, do they want to expose myself to that? It's like, holy smokes. Like, that kind of sucks, Like, this is the one opportunity that everyone had to get together. And if anyone, Abe, I mean, the amount of vehicles that you partake in and setting up, and the amount of booth space and all that, and the planning and the organization, the logistics that goes into all that, and then to not have, the outcomes that you're used to, it'd probably be hard to swallow a little bit. But I mean, then again, like, you'll still probably do it because, like everyone else, you must through that, I guess.
We look forward to that, right? I mean, the whole week it's meeting with your clients, builders, and all that, and and I'm sure you guys would agree. Everyone thinks like if you're a builder, your work is done once you're at SEMA, right? That's a good time, but as a manufacturer exhibiting, that's only the beginning, right? I actually, you wake up earlier than you normally do on a weekday, and you go to sleep later, right? I'm exhausted, but the thing that I look forward to the most is after SEMA's done, because we bring in so many vehicles and they're from all over the place, right? We got Chicago, Texas, Florida. SEMA ends on Friday, so that Saturday and Sunday you go to the dry lake beds with a lot of other like photographers, videographers, and it's that one day or maybe 2 days where you can get all your builds and really get that going, right? That's what I really look forward to, and that that's kind of like the highlight of for the marketing team at Design Infini, and I'm hoping it happens. And we can carry on that tradition, right? Ever since I've been going to SEMA, I haven't skipped it. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think it is funny, like SEMA and events in general, people are like, oh, you just go out there and it's a big car show and it's a party and you guys just hang out for a week or whatever. Like, it's like, no, dude, this is work. Like, when we're traveling, when we're going to events, we're working later than we normally do. We're up earlier than we normally are. Like, it's not like a vacation. I think a lot of people think like, oh, it's so cool. You go to all these events, you just get to take a vacation every weekend. Like, okay, I mean, yeah, kind of. I'm traveling, but I mean, I'm working more hours than you are at a normal day at your 9 to 5.
So Colin, here's a funny story actually. A couple years back, we worked with Shane. Shane is from All American Off-Road, and he has an awesome Jeep. And you've probably seen it on the website and stuff on the sliders. It's a red Jeep and lifted up and whatnot. So Abe is actually the one that carried those, those big metal vehicle display placard stands that we have. Yeah. Abe and his crew are the ones that took both of those from California all the way to Vegas for us for SEMA, dude. Yeah. So like point of like people helping each other out, and those things, dude, they're so heavy to move around, man.
It was so
I tell you that, man. All American Off-Road, they got some quality stuff there. That's why it wasn't light, man. Like
they're so heavy.
It's funny, Abe, back before we had the big trailer and the other setup, like one of the first years I was with Atturo, Joe still made us take those vehicle placards with us to all the shows we'd go to. So I had to load those up and like wedge them in the trailer, and I'm like trying
in the back of the Suburban. The back of the Suburban.
Yeah, those things took a beating, and I mean they still made it, but yeah, those heavy things trying to
Adam, dude.
Jam them into the trailer, pack around them. Yeah, glad we don't do that anymore. Joe, should we give away another knife this week? People are asking about knives.
I think so. I think those are pertinent, for sure, man.
Should we do it? Should we do an MT knife?
MT or XT. Well, so here's what's funny. Oh damn, I don't have it on me. It's funny that I went from my hip to go grab it out.
It's funny. But slice his hand.
Yeah, oh, shit. Like that guy in the videos. But no, I think the XT is more practical. But the MT, like it is.
The cool. MT is a cool knife. I'll pull up a picture of it here for everybody who
you got something. Or something.
But yeah, I think we'll do another giveaway here. Let's do a knife giveaway. Be sure we'll do it towards the end of the stream here. We still have a little more time left. Got some news topics to go through and a couple more other topics involving events we'll cover. But just so you guys in the stream, be sure to share this, tag your friends, tag some friends in the comments, and share this stream. Get some more people in here. And we will do a knife giveaway for the MT knife. I'm trying to pull up a picture of it here on our gear store, and we can show you guys. Oh, well, if I knew how to use our own website, it would be a little quicker if it's under gear, not accessories. But yeah, we'll do a knife giveaway next. We'll show that right now on stream here. But yeah, so this is the MT knife, styled after the Trailblade MT. Pretty cool knife. Really kind of people like it because it reminds them of Counter-Strike. So for you non-gamers, you won't know what that is, but it looks like the fancy Crambit knife in Counter-Strike. So
actually, I might have one.
If you want to be have a fancy but impractical knife, but show your friends how cool you are, tag your friends, and we'll do a giveaway of one of these later in the stream.
Nice.
So yeah, I think I want SEMA to happen. I don't know. I'm very cautiously optimistic. Yeah, we'll throw a t-shirt in there for whoever wins the knife.
Also a question, Abe, sorry to put you on the spot a little bit, but
here we go.
This t-shirt, I don't know if you still have any more of these or not. Yeah. I got this one from you from Pomona actually last year.
Well, we got those shirts, and we actually got some new swag coming along. So nice. Feel free, guys. Like
I'll try to get one.
Used to for the winner for the knives, some of our brands will get some swag packs together, and we'll double down on that. So
sounds good.
After the show, just
we'll find someone.
And we'll donate some cool swag as well.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll definitely get some stuff out there. So be sure to tag your friends, because the giveaways are more fun when if we have more people in here, I'll give away more stuff. But if there's less people watching, there's no incentive to I'm not gonna give it away to the same person every time. But we'll do some trivia. We'll do some giveaways. Yeah, I like doing a trivia question for people for the giveaways. Makes them work a little bit, So we'll figure it out. Damien, take care. Stay safe.
For sure.
Hope you guys are doing well. Stay safe out there. So I guess the question is regarding SEMA. When do you guys think events are going to go back to normal, and will events go back to the same way they were, in the next year, in the next 2 years, and whatever, or will it be, People like Abe said with SEMA, not shaking hands, maybe potentially wearing masks at events, maybe potentially not having indoor, events at all.
I think my big Adam would sponsor me. Sorry. I think my biggest marker for me at the moment, well, first of all, is that July All for Fun event. That's being hopeful. And if not, worst case scenario, Pomona Off-Road Expo, man. Like that's like to me a marker, because I always feel like that event, it's a good precursor to SEMA itself, and like the quality of things you're gonna maybe see a little portion, at SEMA or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Pomona is it's traditionally always 1 month before SEMA, right? And then
Yeah.
it is that and it's almost that for the off-road community. It's that segue for SEMA. But I mean, you guys know, for Saturday, Sunday, that's a lot of people. Like especially on the indoors, that's elbow to elbow, right? I mean, we exhibited the last 2 years. We've been fortunate enough to have an outdoor booth, and it's right next to all the
You're the busiest part. You're the busiest part, man.
exactly, right? Like even for me, I'm like, man, that's a lot. So even if when things go back to normal, like what is going to be the new normal, right? I think the new norm is actually going to change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like just because the business is open back up, I don't think people will be like, you know what, I'm going to Coachella. I don't think it's going to be like that. You know what I mean? Because on the back of my mind, it's a psychological thing, and I think it's going to actually take a full year, maybe year and a half, going to places that's crowded again.
So you think like
Well, 'cause,
digital
like,
interaction of sorts? Sorry.
well,
Yeah.
like we were talking too, like about earlier, we were talking about Disney. Like how long? I think that's going to be the best benchmark. How long until Disney opens back up? Because I mean, that is it's like SEMA. Whenever you go there, every time, I think I've gone a lot of Disney vacations with our family. I think I've been once and not gotten sick afterwards, which is, and you expect that because you're packed with a ton of people. You're touching the same stuff. You're eating and probably not usually washing your hands before you eat, because you're eating at like takeout counters and then just eating a hot dog and this and that. So like, when is a place like that going to open back up? Like realistically,
Right.
I mean,
and Disney has the most incentive to open up because they're losing so much freaking money, right? But they were actually one of the first companies to say, no, we're prolonging it. We're not opening up, because they know. I mean, like, oh man, like absolutely. Any amusement park, like, whether it's California, Florida, doesn't.
The liability to people, man, right? Just responsibility and all that.
But I tip my hat to Disney. They're thinking about the customers, the employees, and all of that, because I guarantee you they're losing money, like crazy amounts of money, not being able to open up.
Adam, I know you said Disney said 2021. There has been no official announcement regarding Disney opening. I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. Who's in the chat?
He's got the inside scoop.
There's been no official announcement regarding the opening. There's been speculation by investors that it won't open until 2021, but they also did tell their furloughed employees that they expect this to go no longer than 6 months, supposedly in an internal letter. They don't expect this to go longer than 6 months. Yeah, it says, Adam, I'm looking at that article right now. It says May last through January. I don't think it's going to go till 2021. I don't think they can afford to do that. I think they're going to implement at least some sort of limited capacity, if not phased opening, some sort. Which I think is
VR rides. It's like whoosh, that's
well,
like
they were
right?
I mean, there's already pictures coming out of Shanghai at Shanghai Disney about reduced capacity in rides, people only sitting every other seat, sanitizing rides after every person goes on, standing 6 feet apart in line queues, and again,
the ride pictures are gonna look so funny, dude, with all of these spots.
I call it a question for you, right? I mean, you said you've been to a lot of Disney vacations with your family, right? I've been to Disney more when I was younger, and I probably went. The last time I went was a couple years ago. But let's say it does open up in September or whatever's right, July, September, right? And they're gonna limit the amount of people that can attend, right? Are you signing up? Are you going? Are you gonna risk that? Are you gonna go there with
right? Like,
imagine like I mean, while you're waiting in line, there's the handrails,
Yep.
whatever. We talked about like takeout food, like the hot dogs, like knowing that they're limiting, I still think I would give it several months, even if they open, people are gonna rush to go like, hey man, let's go see Mickey Mouse, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's my biggest thing. And again, not to get too deep into the politics of it, but my big thing is, what's if, say, Disney opened up next month or 2 months from now, they're saying we're 12 to 18 months from a vaccine if the one they're testing right now turns out to be viable. But they're saying it may not. I mean, the common cold is a coronavirus, and there's no cure for the common cold. So they're saying this vaccine might not even be a viable vaccine. So we could say, let's close everything. Say best case scenario, we could support the economy somehow. We close it down for 12 months and we get a vaccine, but we might not. So we did all this and we get no vaccine. What is like Illinois just announced the stay-at-home order to extend another 4 months. What is going to change or another 4 weeks, excuse me, not for another month. What is going to change between now and 4 weeks from now? Or like Disney, what's going to change between now and if we went in 2 months or if we went in a year? What's going to change? Say there isn't a vaccine. I think at some point the whole thing with flattening the curve is making sure that the curve is below our medical capacity. They've said everybody's going to get this. You're going to get it at some point. So as long as we keep that curve under our medical capacity, it's okay. And we're going to be okay. And we'll be able to treat these people. And they've said so far, I don't believe there's been any, for the most part, reported deaths because of lack of care. They've done everything they physically can to take care of these people. For the most part, hospitals aren't overrun. And again, not to get into the political aspect of it, but I think as long as we're keeping that infection rate under that capacity we have, I think it's okay to slowly open things up. And at some point, everyone's going to get it. So we just need to make sure it's not overrun to the point where we are, we're overrunning our medical facilities.
I just really like that like I said, I said this before in other episodes, but the industry we work with and the people we work with, man, like they're very go out there and get out there and just like have fun and don't be too stupid or whatever, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I to answer the question, I don't think I'd go to Disney if it opened up a month from now. We're annual pass holders. We go very often. I don't think we'd go, mainly because my sister is in a high risk group. She has asthma, so I think that plays another role into it. I even if we weren't, I don't know if we'd go. It's one of those things where maybe things won't change between now and 6 months from now, but at least you'll be able to kind of see, you can watch from a distance, so to speak, and see kind of what happens.
Right. Like, exactly. It's to me, it's like a risk to reward type of deal. Like, I mean, if I could go to Disney next month, like, well, what's the difference? I could probably wait a few more months as a peace of mind, right? For me, my wife, future baby, whatever, so. Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah. And I think that kind of risk versus reward calculation is magnified even more when you talk about like a thing like SEMA. I think it's harder to make that call because SEMA isn't like Disney. I can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll wait a few months and go. Like, that's once a year. And like for a lot of these companies, like we said, business deals are made there that you're not going to make other places. You're not going to get in front of the same people. So are people going to be able to, is that amount of risk you're willing to take going to be higher because of the magnitude of the event?
Right. Definitely. And some of the smaller companies or younger companies, newer companies like startup, that's your one chance to get in front of these national. I mean, there's other aftermarket brands that's just been around. Like, they don't need to be at SEMA. Everyone already knows who they are, right? But on the other spectrum, there's companies that literally wait for that 1 week. Then, they're planning the whole year. They're like, this is our chance to get in front of everyone. Like, I'm sure for those type of smaller companies, startups or whatnot, it's devastating, and they're probably biting their nails, right? Whereas, there's other companies that, everyone, that's like a household name, right? So, they probably don't need to be there as bad as some of the smaller guys.
Yeah, that's a really good point, dude. You're right, because before you spend XYZ dollars, whatever, right? Then you go through everything to get there, and take to the word exposure, but you're exposed to that many more people to see you. And at this level, like, damn, like it would be a lot less bang for your buck type thing, right?
Yeah, and I think I wonder how long the sort of lag time this is going to have an effect on, because even if, you know, this whole thing kind of clears up and we start to go back to normal, what the lag time is going to be in terms of our industry, in terms of the automotive and the aftermarket industry. Because one of the things I just saw reported by Jalopnik this week, Hyundai didn't stop their production of cars because they were optimistic about all this. And now at multiple ports in the US, they're just stacked full of Hyundais waiting to get in, and they're not letting them in because of the way trade is right now, and no one's buying them. So they ramped up their production to as much as 98% capacity in late March, and they shipped 33,000 vehicles to the US in March, 4.3% more than a year ago, and now those are all sitting in the port because no one wants to buy them.
Funny, dude.
Well, you know what? They're probably going to run some phenomenal sales. So if you're in the market,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think you got the leverage on the negotiations right there. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Or they got an early start for later on.
98% production.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. Somebody called that one wrong.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think everybody's in that situation though, because you're in the situation where you know you plan your inventory and whatnot. Abe would know a lot, you know, way better than that. And you plan for that. But I do feel like, for example, myself today being in the office and kind of seeing that there was an uptick in things, you know, like there was a little bit more activity. So
I can
yeah,
tell you
dude.
exactly why we had an uptick this week. Everyone got them stimulus checks.
Truth.
I mean, hey, Colin, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, man, us car guys are notorious for, we're not the best money managers, that's for sure. Like,
so it looks cool.
Wheels, tires, probably intakes, exhaust. I mean, absolutely. And I expect that uptick to stay through the next following month, while as more people get the stimulus check, right? Like, and I'm not encouraging that, guys. And I work in the industry, right? Like,
Okay.
save some of that money for food and put some away for emergency. But you know what? It is a glimmer of hope, just because the auto industry has hit very, very hard. You know, especially the aftermarket
standstill.
So, but yeah, Colin's right. Like, there's reasoning why we're seeing that uptick. It's the stimulus check.
No, you could see it was within a week. Those checks went out, and you could see our sales have been like pretty steady. Then boom, it's honestly, it's crazy when you can correlate something like that, and it's just that obvious. But yeah, I don't know.
My point with that is on the inventory factor of like having a shuffle inventory, making space for inventory, and it's just like where your items sell. Thankfully, you have an item that people will eventually, you know, want or need. Yeah, it's just like the inventory at the moment part. Like that sucks for, I think, a lot of people probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But so in other news, you can't go another week without talking about Elon Musk and his Cybertruck that I still don't think is ever going to get actually built. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But he tweeted out this week saying that it will float for a while.
What is a while? Like, let's talk about that. Like,
yeah, you can put it in some water; it'll float for a while. Okay. Maybe it'll float, but last I checked, electronics and high voltage batteries in water didn't mix very well.
Well, who were we talking about with Edwin, right? It was about putting the batteries on the roof rack on top.
Well, yeah, then you got a terrible high center of gravity, and then you roll over. We could loop that back to the rooftop tents. You ever see some of these guys wheel with all that overland gear and like a rooftop tent on those rigs? That thing's like going over rocks. They're pulling up wheels all over the place. I'm like, man, that's way too scary for me. What does float mean? I don't know what float means, Adam.
No, you're talking about that vehicle, dude.
Here, I'll show the picture on the stream right now. It's the picture that was tweeted out was this is an illustration that they were showing. There's the Cybertruck, like
it's surfing,
riding a wave. It's surfing. Yeah, it's surfing. So yeah, you could do that. You could ride the wave with the Cybertruck. You go out and.
I think of the Cybertruck floating right behind. Oh no, never mind. Just kidding.
Right, that would be.
He also did
Close up
admit
on
that the actual production Cybertruck will be, Chris, buy one and report back. I'll submit that to R&D. We'll get that right on that. We'll get one in for R&D, do some tire size testing, and then when we're done, I'll throw it in the ocean. He also said the actual Cybertruck is going to be smaller and will quote unquote kick butt off-road.
Right.
I'm just curious. Those wheels on the Cybertruck are just insane. What do you think about the wheels they've been showing this thing with, Abe? Have you seen those where they got like the weird spokes that like go into the tire, kind of?
Yeah, I did see that. I think they should have hit up Design Infini and let us take a stab at it, right? Like,
But no thing or two.
it's cool, but our designers. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna just shout out our designers. We got some talented designers, so they would have done something a little bit better. But hey, I got mad respect for what Tesla is doing and Elon.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. But Colin, I actually think they are going to make it.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I do. When I first saw it, I literally thought it was a joke, but I'm not gonna lie. It's maybe it's brainwashed. It's grown on me, right? Like it's literally grown on me, and I think it's gonna be fast as hell, like all their other cars, and I think it's gonna create a lot of controversy. But that guy is the best at getting press. I mean, you have all these news outlets that have no business about talking about any type of cars or automobiles that every news outlet was talking about. So I mean, just the PR alone, I think he's brilliant at doing what he does. So
I have no doubt that Elon Musk is a brilliant marketer in terms of how he does his marketing, how he does his events, how he promotes his vehicles. But from what I've heard last from people inside Tesla, they have no clue how they're going to mass produce this thing on any sort of scale, which could change. I mean, you can produce anything with enough research and enough specialty equipment and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if they're going to be able to mass produce it at the price they're quoting.
Adapt. Things will adapt. You have to. I mean, but if people want it, they're going to pay for it, right?
I think it's Elon. We'll see.
In terms of other
SpaceX, baby, SpaceX.
SpaceX. In terms of other companies struggling, Ford has announced they expect to take a $2 billion loss in the first quarter.
Ooh, that's a B.
That's a B. That's a B for a billion right there. That's reported by Eric Schilling over at Jalopnik too. That is a $2 billion loss in just the first quarter.
Lucy, you have some explaining to do.
You know what? Whoever, the Ford execs could call the Hyundai execs. They could vent to each other because those are the losses right there. Oh man.
Yeah, that's rough. And I mean, but like I said, I wonder how much of this they keep talking about how there's going to be the V-shaped recovery. We're going to go down. We're just going to shoot right back up and be where we're at. I mean, do you guys buy into that? Do you think there's going to be this sort of bounce back, or do you think it's going to be kind of a slow crawl back to where we were?
I personally think it's going to be a slow, right? Because this, I think like what we're going through, it puts stuff into perspective. I mean, it's interesting for me to even just say that because we just talked about how we saw an uptick because of the stimulus check, but I think as a whole, like, I don't think it's going to be no V bounce back at all. I really think it's going to be
stairs,
slow and steady.
And safe, dude. A lot of safety. People are going to be very safe and cautious about their steps.
Well, yeah. I think on that, there was another article I saw on Auto News reported this. We're just banging through these news articles here, but I mean, they do kind of all lead together. How the outbreak is going to change the interior vehicle design or for that matter, a lot of things. How is this going to change, the way restaurants are designed, the way vehicles are going to designed? How is this going to affect public transit? Is that even going to be a thing anymore after this?
That's kind of like the Disney type stuff, right? Oh man, you're right. The vehicles. Okay. Speaking real fast about vehicles, and stuff like that. There's a place by me called Super Dogs, and you can drive up to them and they bring your food out to you or whatever. And what caught my interest was a couple of days ago at a Burger King, I think it was. They had a tray, so the person would put the stuff into the tray, hand you the tray, you took your stuff out of the tray, and then they went back. I'm like, well, what's to stop someone from having that as part of the vehicle, like part of your door now, like a tray, that you just put your stuff onto, someone grabs it or whatever, and just like it would be like a retractable mirror type thing, but it would be a tray or whatever, something to that effect.
I mean, what you said with the restaurants is like, obviously as a restaurant owner, you want to get as much customers in as possible. But I think there is going to be a dramatic shift because I mean, if I'm going to my neighborhood restaurant, like, my favorite restaurant that's just like, jam packed, I'm probably going to think twice before going for at least the first 6 months, right? I literally think they're going to have to, just like how we were talking earlier about Disney, once they open, they're going to have to limit their customers. I think restaurants are going to have to take half of their tables out at least, to give a peace of mind, or I'm still doing takeout or just choosing another place to eat.
Well, that's what they were talking about. Like, I was talking to somebody in the restaurant industry, and they're saying, yeah, like we're doing takeout, but we're doing like maybe 10% of the business we were doing before. And I mean, say they open up the inside and they're doing, they get rid of half the tables. That's still a huge reduce in capacity. What they were doing before are some of these small mom and pop restaurants that were operating on the margin before. Are they going to be able to survive? Are they going to be able to push through this and adapt and be able, are we just going to see all these kind of smaller mom and pop shops, small family owned restaurants die out, and then we just are left with Taco Bell's, Burger King's, and McDonald's?
I think the small businesses, the mom and pop shops, are going to go through a very difficult time. I sure hope not, and I hope for the best. But I really think it's going to be it's going to be a long road to recovery for sure. And for small shops with slim margins to go through this whole thing and withstand this downturn, I mean, it's tough. I mean, the restaurant business is tough before this, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of restaurants that's running on slim margins, but to go through this stuff, and even when it opens up with the psychological effect, it's I think it's going to be very challenging, and I hope the government or nation really looks out for those type of small businesses, right? Because I mean, some businesses aren't that small, and they're the ones who are getting the helps, but the ones that really need it are the local, the mom and pop shops. And I hope those are the businesses that get the loans to survive this dark time for sure.
And a lot of them I think are kind of surviving because they have a smaller overhead, less personnel. They do a lot of the work themselves. So like that's the only thing kind of like helping you out a little bit, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, as we were talking about the kind of off-road vehicles, electric vehicles, Elon Musk. So Fisker Automotive, best known for the Fisker Karma, has unveiled their off-road version of their sub $30,000 electric SUV. And it's definitely interesting looking. I don't know if I would, I'm still mixed on the electric vehicles, their place in terms of off-roading.
Off-roading, yeah.
Like, is anybody going to actually take these electric vehicles off-road?
Not without being nervous. No offense to them or anything like that. Just I need to back up. I need to back up with something that you're comfortable and used to.
So you take your electric vehicle off-road and you put your generator in the back to charge it up when it dies, or what?
Yeah, like Evan was saying with somebody with that golf cart or whatever, generator in the back, romp. Sense of comfort, man, safety, and knowing like what works and how it works.
Well, my question here is, with these electric vehicles and being off-road equipped, how much do you think like these bigger tires and stuff are going to affect range even?
Because of the weight?
I think it's going to
weight.
Dramatically. And get stuck out in the middle of nowhere thinking,
well, yeah, because I mean, even when we go off-road to a degree, I'm always worried about like, man, are we going to make it back with enough gas? I mean, I've never had a situation we have, but like when we go out in like Colorado and we're on these trails for however long and we're just trail riding for half a day, a full day, I always wonder like, man, better make sure we fill up in the morning before we go out, because I don't want to be caught out there without gas. And you see these guys carrying their roto packs with gas and all this extra fuel. Like, you don't have an option for that with an electric vehicle. What are you going to carry, some extra AA's with you, or?
Right. With the batteries, like solar panels, and it's nighttime shit. Shoot. 38 grand, that's still pretty cool. I mean, for electric, I mean, it's like anything that's new though, right, man? It's gotta be cool. People will take it out, try it out, test it out.
Their vehicle without the off-road version, the regular street version of this same SUV, they're claiming a 400-mile range.
That's a lot.
And they claim that they have a solid-state battery breakthrough for electric cars where you could charge 500-mile range with 1 minute charging. And this will come to market with an aggressive timeline.
That sounds real good. I'll believe it when I see it. 500-mile range.
Right? That sounds like
that sounds real good until your batteries are blowing up under the car.
Yeah.
500 miles.
All of us works in marketing, right? I mean, that's I literally believe it.
Sounds real good. Sounds like a headline somebody in the marketing department wrote, if you're asking me.
Genius, dude.
Sounds like something somebody in the marketing department wrote, and the engineers are like, "Oh my god, why are they writing this?"
I know.
I know a few people one or two people who actually work at Tesla, and the general vibe is like when Elon says something or he tweets something, all the engineers are like, "Oh my god, no, please somebody take Twitter away from him. This is not going to happen." And now we're just like, when he's like, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this, this and that." They're like, "Oh my, he hasn't even said anything to us. And now we got to do this."
Was it Elon that tweeted, "Hey, yo, the Cybertruck's going to float." The engineers are like, "Holy cow, we got to make it float."
Yeah, they're all like, "Oh my god, can you please stop? We're screwed."
It's like, that's how he tells them.
Yeah, I think it's funny. All the engineers. Oh geez, Elon, stop! Somebody take the phone away. Stop promising stuff to us. So this is another one on the topic of overlanding. This company, I didn't even catch who it was that actually is making it. It's a 6-wheel off-road RV, and they call it basically an overlanding super yacht. And I mean, this thing looks really cool. It looks great and all, but where the heck are you overlanding with this thing? That is massive. Like
2,000 miles on a tank.
I mean, you can scroll to the next picture. They got their side by side on like a lift gate on the back of like where I mean, maybe I'm going on the wrong trails, but I've never seen a trail where you're going to drive this thing through. I mean, and this just goes back to the whole overlanding thing. And like we were talking about, I think this kind of, camping with your own sort of thing, like having your own things to go on vacation with, whether it's RVing, camping, overlanding, whatever, is going to be the big uptick, because people aren't going to want to stay at hotels. They're not going to want to touch things. Because I mean, who's gonna want to stay in a hotel room after this, thinking like what other people have touched or slept in the same bed or all? Like, I think it's going to be a long time before people are feeling comfortable doing that kind of stuff again.
What about Airbnbs though? I mean, well, I guess it's get cleaned up, so it should be okay.
Yeah, because I mean, what's reassuring? I mean, because when you're in an RV or some sort of overlanding rig, you know for sure, yeah, this is my stuff. No one else is touching it but me. So I think that industry is going to see a huge sort of uptick in terms of popularity.
I had completely, not I want to say overlooked it, but it's just something. I mean, like it's cool, it's fun, you know. But yeah. That's gonna definitely kick up a lot. You're right, man.
The overlanding is, you know, it's family oriented, right? Like you could take the wifey, you could take your boy,
pets, yeah.
It's already in the same household, right? So it's fine, like, you know. But you're right, like going to a hotel and not knowing has everything been sanitized. Is this
right?
Absolutely. So I think overlanding and that whole industry, just and off-roading in general. I mean, that was a strong industry, but I think it's only going to get stronger.
Like one of those last Jeep events, where I think it was Silver Lake's Sand Dunes event. Um, they were talking about when you would meet up that you'd have not you would have to, but stay in your car. Everyone just lines up. Don't get out of your car. There's no reason to get, talk to anybody or whatnot. Just limiting that face-to-face time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, I found this really cool. So everyone's like, oh, well, I can't overland in a however expensive RV. This really cool company that's making these off-road trailers where it's starting under $20,000. You can get this little tiny off-road overlanding trailer, and they claim their headline is it can follow the toughest SUV anywhere. So it's I think these little tiny overlanding trailers are definitely going to be a big thing because you can tow it behind pretty much anything. You already have a Jeep and you already go off-roading. This is just kind of the step up from that. But
then again, you probably wouldn't take it with you through the trails too much. But you can't just leave it somewhere, because if you're going somewhere, obviously you're going to take it with you, right?
I've seen people take some of these through the trails. Some of these little trailers are pretty. They have like fancy hitches and stuff on them, and actual off-road shocks and
roof racks.
Yeah. Like a lot of these trailers are supposedly pretty. I mean, obviously you're not going to like climb up some of the stuff we're doing in Moab with a trailer, but in terms of casual wheeling, like in Colorado, some of this other sort of more casual stuff, you probably could get away with towing a trailer behind you. I mean, I think it'd be cool as heck to camp out at the top of one of these mountains next to the trail.
And really take it in, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So yeah, I mean, I think the overlanding industry, the off-road industry, I think those are going to be the ones that see the most durability in terms of weathering through this and potentially maybe coming out the other side better. So we'll see, but I don't know. I think it'll be interesting at least to kind of see how this affects different segments of the industry. I think we're going to see a lot less of big lifted, stupid, expensive, not as functional like trucks on 24s and stuff in the near future.
Yeah, what I've seen a lot of these last couple of days has been like not Miatas, but like that typical, like little 2-doors lifted up on some kind of aggressive off-road looking tires. Even seen one at Target the other day actually going out. I was trying to take a picture, but I'm like, I'm driving, man. This is probably not a good idea.
Well, I mean, what I've noticed is like, I mean, there's a lot of like Subarus getting into the overlanding, right? Like they're putting on like the 17s with the meteor tires and kind of up, and it's catching on, man. I like it. I'm seeing a lot more of that. And then we noticed that at the Overlanding Expo before this whole thing happened. It happened in Costa Mesa, and Adam and I from my team.
Adam, you.
I'm like, man, there's some cool Subi cross tracks and Suberland Outbacks, and we're starting to touch on real hardcore. So I like
a lot of 18s and 20s.
On the topic of Subarus, I'm going to give a shout out and cool vehicle builds to my buddy Caleb. His YouTube channel is Gingium. He just finished his lifted Miata with a Subaru EJ swap in it. Pretty wild. I'm sure this thing's been going all over the internet. It's making like 360 horsepower. This little blue Miata, it's lifted with a WRX swap in it. And I mean, I love builds like this because you're just not gonna build that with off the shelf parts. I mean, that's cool.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. So yeah, he did it. It's pretty cool. I talked to him about getting some tires on it, but he needs a very small size, obviously, because you're looking at, I mean, that's still a Miata, and you got limited space in the wheel wells there. But that is a sweet build, so be sure to go give him a follow and subscribe to his YouTube channel, because that's a sweet build.
I like that look, man. I like that look. I think it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat, dude.
Yeah, I really do. Yeah. I love unique builds where you can see someone actually put work into it. Like, it's not just, anybody can go online and order a bunch of off-the-shelf parts and put them on a vehicle. Nearly anybody with some sort of mechanical knowledge. But in order to make something like this, or something like we were talking about Damien's truck, something like that, it's obvious you put in the time and the energy and the effort to make something that's truly unique and one of a kind. And that I have a lot more respect for than somebody who just, has a fat credit card and went online and just bought a bunch of off the shelf parts and put it on their vehicle.
Actually put some thought into it, man. Made something work.
Well, because that's what, and again, we were talking about what to get a sponsorship. That's what I want to be a part of, builds like that, because you know where that's going to attract people's attention is something that's like, wow, I've never seen that done before. And then you start looking closer and you're like, oh, wow, those tires are pretty cool. Oh, wow, those wheels are pretty neat. Like I want to go something where somebody's attracted to it for something besides the wheels and tires. And then they see it after the fact and like, oh, wow, I really do like that.
And here before we kind of like get closer, like taking off tonight too, but there's a couple of things that we talked about earlier with Abe. And one of them was like LinkedIn and also like the coloring book page. I think the coloring book thing was cool because I feel that the first place I saw it was with you guys in Centerline, before I started seeing it in other places replicate in different ways. You know, everyone had their own form of it. But yeah, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that, like the coloring book, and that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So, you know, as I'm working from home and, you know, the marketing team, you know, Paul, Adam, Matt, Brian, shout out to my marketing team. They're super talented, hard workers. You know, we're on Zoom calls at least once a day, if not twice a day. And, you know, we're always strategizing because, you know, generally we're out and about creating content or whatnot. But with us being home, with these type of constraints, you know, we still have a job to do, right? We still need to get the brands out there, but we also wanted to encourage staying at home. So we're like, okay, well, how do we do that, right? And we wanted to get creative with it. So, you know, one of the things we wanted to do is, you know, we created a coloring book. We reached out to Donnie, our chief designer, said, hey, we need some wheel design files. We're going to edit it so people can't just take our wheel designs, right? We deleted some lines and we just left the outlines on there. And we ended up creating a coloring book. And shout out to Custom Offsets and SD Wheels. I think you know, they do a heavy job pushing Atturo tires as well.
Yep.
We reached out to Alex, and Alex loved the idea, and he said, hey, this is something that's very timely, and it's going to hit our target audience very well. So we got, you know, Alex from Fitment and everyone else from Custom Offsets on board. And then we said, you know what, let's do a giveaway. You know, so they ran a campaign for a week and had everyone submit. They did the Custom Offsets. It was CO social distancing hashtag. And then we had a lot of submitters. And then a random winner got selected and got sent out a 2020 design from Centerline Wheels. And that was very successful. And, you know, it was very interesting. But one of the challenging things with Design Infini is we have so many wheel brands, like Colin listed, right? It was like a rap sheet.
Yeah.
And it'd be easy if we could step and read people all the brands, but then the marketing team wouldn't be doing our jobs, right? We really have to, each brand has an identity. Each brand has a different message, right? So another thing that we did for Motiv Off-Road, I mean, it would have been easy for us to do another coloring book because it was successful, right? But we wanted to do something else. So with Motiv Off-Road, we did a crossword puzzle. So with all of our
cool.
names, anything that was related to the off-road industry, you know, we did a crossword thing, and that's going to be on motivwheels.com. We sent that out on our MailChimp newsletter for people to do that. So once they do that, they could submit that back to us, and we're going to select 10 winners to win a swag pack, right? So it's stuff like that. And then we have another campaign that's promoting staying at home with Gear Off-Road, which I can't talk about right now because it's a little too early, but that's right after. It's probably going to be launched next week. So, you know, if you guys are at home, stay tuned to Gear Off-Road, and we'll have another cool campaign coming up for Gear Off-Road. And that's kind of how we've pivoted during these times, and we'll continue to do so.
I think it's definitely interesting how a lot of companies are, you have to pivot. A lot of companies, like especially whether it's marketing or anything, everyone's very much a creature of habit. I mean, that's just life in general. Yeah, we do the same thing. And I mean, we innovate in how we do things, but I mean, there's a process in everything we do. And then as we go through that process, we kind of tweak things and change things. But this is like, you're throwing out the entire playbook and starting from scratch here to a degree. Like no one's ever dealt with this. No one's ever had to go through this. So everything you thought was game, throw that out the window. We're doing stuff totally different now. And I think it's great. because you're making the best out of a bad situation, and a lot of cool ideas are emerging, like the coloring book pages. Like, I mean, that's people be like, oh, well, why would we make a coloring book page? But like, no one's going to do that. No one wants to like sit at home and draw, but I mean, people do now.
Not just the idea itself that you have, but myself being able to work with you on a couple, marketing things, and your time on target, like just communicating and executing, man. Like, it's fun to see, for example, like with Black Knight 1500, how many different channels and outlets and users you worked with to post at a certain time on a certain day or whatever, and like to see all that come together. I'm like, man, that's cool. It just shows that the cohesiveness of someone being able to bring a lot of people together. Like that's a lot of fun, man.
I mean, that's what we pride ourselves in, is connecting the dots and showing other stakeholders the value of why you want to collaborate with this, right? And in the auto industry, it's one of the best things about working in the auto industry, right? Yeah, it's still a job, and we work our asses off, but it's also the networks that you make. And in the beginning, it might be just a network, but they become friends. And now there's some guys that I even call family, right? And it's just awesome to see that kind of stuff translate from work into your personal lives. And Joe, I mean, like we literally met just through work.
Right. Yeah.
The years have gone by, right? And one of the things that I'll say right here is like, Fittipaldi, like on Black Knights, that all the wheels that are on Fittipaldi Off-Road right now, those are monoblock forged wheels, right? The pricing is really high, right? But here's a segue into that. Within the next 30 days, for our top 4 selling brands, we are launching a cast line that looks very similar to our forged line, right? And with us being home, and I talked about centerline coloring book, the Motiv crossword, gears coming out, right? But I'll tell you what, we have to come up with some kind of campaign for Fittipaldi cast wheels too. So I want to reach out to you, like after we get off the call, come up with something crazy, something engaging, and give a set away of Fittipaldi cast wheels to our users. Let's think of something, and I'm sure with all of our heads combined, we can come out with an engaging, a very engaging campaign. And I'm looking forward to doing that in the near future. It'd be crazy.
That's fun, dude.
Challenge accepted. I think doing stuff like that is, you have to keep your audience engaged somehow, and that's the whole reason we started doing this show here, is because me and Joe are used to being on the road and engaging with consumers at that level, being very accessible to people. We're going to go to this event. We're going to be here. Come up to us, ask questions, whatever. Maybe you had a bad experience. We could talk to you about that. Maybe you had a good experience. We could talk to you about that. Maybe you don't know the brand and you just want to know more. We can help you with that. So I think being able to be accessible to people in a new medium, that was the whole point of starting this. So I think it's good to kind of evolve and look at different ways to engage the community, because right now everything social media is just flooded with coronavirus news. So I think if you can do something that's unique and engaging, people find it as just a breath of fresh air.
And you know what I think, like in marketing, they always say about personifying a brand and all that. And here's where people get to really see who is behind the scenes on a lot of things, and just who makes things, who has the fun to make it work, right?
Yeah, for sure. We take it on as a challenge, and I'm glad that Colin mentioned that. It's like, because we're so used to a routine, especially when social. You got your shoots, photo shoots, video shoots, sponsorship, events, but this whole timing of this COVID, it's really all right. I just take it as a challenge and challenge our team to say, okay, let's try something different, and we have to just make the best of this situation. And it's not every day that I'm hopping on this kind of podcast or a vlog, right? This is true, but and I'm very appreciative for you guys to reach out and give me this opportunity. But, if it wasn't for this kind of climate, I probably would have not had this opportunity, right? I'm always trying something new, and it's all about pivoting and evolving. And I just think it's
trying to make the best, right?
And really pushing yourself.
But I think it's funny too, like you were saying, you wouldn't even think about doing something like this. A lot of people we would reach out to would be like, oh yeah, my schedule's just way too busy to sit down for an hour, for 2 hours to do something like that.
See an event.
Now when somebody says something like that, it's like, no, you're not. There's not a chance you're too busy.
Live.
You're sitting at home. You're lying.
Hey guys, so transparency. Today's my 4th
congratulations.
anniversary, right? So I got my wife out there waiting for it.
Oh yeah, true.
You know what I mean? You make time. Like any guy will know. It's all about priorities, right? Like and you make time. Like I already got my wife. I said, hey, from here to here, I got this, but after this,
Yeah.
right? So, you just have to put yourself and you make time, and it's just the way of life.
Yeah, exactly. But so Joe, do you have an idea for our giveaway? Do you have an idea for trivia this week? Would be a good idea.
I guess it would say to maybe what's the wheel style that's on one of the vehicles that we showed today. So you could either be Black Knight or Project Full Metal Jacket or the Jeep.
What do you mean the wheel style?
Yeah, like the name of the wheel or the wheel style, because they're Fittipaldi Off-Roads. Actually, two of them had a Fittipaldi Off-Road. Or yeah, just a Black Knight 1500. There you go. What's the wheel style on there?
Like the brand?
Well, the brand is Fittipaldi Off-Road, but the style.
Oh, the model. What model?
Yes, correct. Sorry, the model. Yes.
Got you. I'll pull up the picture then for everybody to see, and see if they can backtrack. What? Okay, the name of the wheel's not in the model number. I thought it was.
He's like, I know this one.
Damien's not here anymore, but
I was gonna say,
I was hoping as I pulled it up, I'm like, I hope he doesn't have the name of the wheel in the file name when everyone's gonna see, and this is gonna be so. Go online or wherever, see if you can find the model of the Fittipaldi wheel on Damien's truck here, Black Knight 1500. Do some digging. I'm sure somebody's creative enough here to figure out the brand, or not the brand, the model. So once you figure that out, be sure to leave it in the comments here, and we'll give away a swag pack with some Fittipaldi goodies and a knife and some shirts and whatnot. And I'll probably go through the comments tomorrow and pick a few runners up of people who filtered through here to win shirts and whatnot. So if somebody guesses, then they'll be the I guess the quote unquote grand prize winner. But I'll go back through tomorrow and read the comments and pick a few people and send out some messages for swag packs.
I posted a link to the.
Doesn't it have the wheels listed in it, Joe?
No, wait, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
Those aren't the same wheels. That's when you had
Those
different
not.
wheels on.
Yep, and that's totally different ones. And I'm an idiot.
Joe.
You lied to me. But see, that's funny because we just got the other ones that we have to update. That's why I had to upload with the new ones.
Well, I'll add it as a different entry because it's different.
Well, that's why, because it is a new one. And see, I'm glad that we're doing this to get like all the newer stuff too. Even the videos that we have. Actually, I wonder if we could upload videos into the gallery.
FSF24U. Is that the name of the wheel?
I'll tell you right now. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't think that's it.
Ooh, the Jeep's on there. Oh, snap. Here, I'll tell you right now. It's the FTF08 Black Milled. And I'm going to post the correct link here because I have to redeem myself.
Well, nobody guessed it right.
It's okay.
So who's going to be the winner?
I have to pick one at random.
Well, I'm going to pick one at random then. I don't know. I'll pick somebody tomorrow.
I think Adam would know for sure.
Yeah, Adam would know.
That's actually a really good gallery, man. So hopefully people go on that. We won't hold up Abe too much longer so he can celebrate his anniversary.
Yeah, don't want to hold him up too much longer now that he's guilted us into that he's missing his anniversary. Totally kidding. But yeah, I guess we'll end it. We'll end it a little early here. I mean, I guess probably everyone gets tired of us talking for so long anyway, to a degree. But because I don't think I'm that interesting. But yeah, people come back every week, so maybe I am. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about.
You guys are good at what you do.
Like, man, it's good. I'm so glad to have you, man.
Alrighty, everybody. So on that note, we are going to call that the conclusion of episode 3 of Tire Talk with Atturo Tires. Big shout out and thank you to Abe from Design Infini
Adam.
Do you, Abe, do you want to take a moment to shout out your guys' social media, your stuff personally too, where people can find you, where people can find your products?
Yeah, for sure. Most of our social handles are just like our wheels, Gear Off-Road, Motiv Wheels, Fittipaldi Off-Road, Fittipaldi, Keen Design. What else am I forgetting? My personal is Abe.Choe, Choe. And then shout out to my Stung by a Stinger club. I'm the co-founder of Stung by a Stinger, so I founded that it's a Kia Stinger lifestyle page, and we've got a lot of members over there. So yeah, give us a follow and check us out.
Thanks for joining us. So everybody, that is our show. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Atturo Tires. Be sure to follow us on Twitter as well, because I always forget that one because I don't use Twitter. Be sure to visit AtturoGear.com to get all your Atturo gear needs, and head over to Atturo.com and check out our vehicle gallery to submit your own vehicle. Check what fitments we have on there. We're adding stuff all the time to kind of give you guys a little help on what vehicles work well with our tire combinations. So I think that is it. If you're listening to this on the podcast stream or the YouTube archive, be sure to tune into our Facebook every Thursday until, we're back on the road, every Thursday until the quarantine's lifted at 7 p.m. Central Time for Tire Talk with Atturo Tires. So on that note, I will see you guys all next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Goodbye. Peace out.